Have you ever wondered if demonic possession and exorcism were real phenomena in the 17th century? Let's turn the pages of history back to the autumn of 1660, to Quebec, New France, where the ordinary and the extraordinary collided in an eerie dance. Imagine a time when the air was crisp and the leaves painted a vibrant palette of reds and oranges. But the beauty of the season was overshadowed by a series of unsettling events that turned Quebec into a theater of the paranormal. Striking a chord of fear into the hearts of the colonists were tales of a man, not just any man, but a man enveloped entirely in flame. The sight was as baffling as it was terrifying. But the spectacle did not end there. Witnesses claimed to have seen a canoe, ablaze, cutting through the waters with no discernible source of the fire. Yet, it wasn't just these fiery apparitions that set the town abuzz. The silence of the nights was broken by lamentable cries piercing the air, coupled with a thunderous voice, the source of which remained unknown. The eerie echoes resonated through the empty streets, chilling the bones of those who heard them. In the midst of this chaos, a young servant girl emerged, her eyes wide with fear. She claimed to be tormented by demons, her every waking moment filled with terror. Her words, her demeanor, her sheer terror painted a vivid picture of her suffering, adding another layer of mystery to the unfolding events. This was Quebec in the autumn of 1660, where the natural and the supernatural were seemingly intertwined. A place where the cries of a terrified servant girl, the sight of a man in a canoe ablaze, and the sound of an untraceable thunderous voice set a sinister backdrop for what was to come. These events set a dark and mysterious stage for our tale. What followed was a series of accusations, trials, and a quest for understanding that would shake the very foundations of this 17th century society. But for now, let's pause and ponder over these strange occurrences that marked the beginning of this haunting tale. A single claim of demonic terror can have dire consequences. As autumn fell over Quebec in the year of 1660, an eerie chill descended on the city, one that was more than just the cold winds of the season. The city was gripped by strange and unexplainable phenomena. Reports of a man enveloped in flame and a fiery canoe were whispered in hushed tones, and the air was pierced by lamentable cries and a thunderous voice. At the heart of this storm of supernatural activity was a teenage servant girl. She claimed to be haunted by demons, a terrifying assertion that sent tremors of fear through the community. These were times when the spiritual realm was as real to people as the physical, and the idea of demonic possession was a horrifying reality. The servant's allegations of demonic harassment had a profound ripple effect, casting a shadow of suspicion over a miller. The miller, a regular member of society, suddenly found himself at the center of a witchcraft scandal. The servant's claim was not taken lightly. It was viewed as a grave threat to the community's spiritual well-being. In the face of such a serious accusation, society wielded its harshest weapon, punishment. The miller was swiftly imprisoned, his fate sealed by a single claim. The wheels of justice, or perhaps more accurately, the wheels of fear, were set in motion. The miller was tried, found guilty, and eventually executed. His life was the price paid for the perceived safeguarding of the community's spiritual sanctity. The servant, on the other hand, found herself under the care of nuns in a hospital. Her claims of demonic terror were treated seriously, and her well-being was of paramount concern. This stark difference in how the two main characters in this tale were treated paints a vivid picture of the societal norms and beliefs of the time. In the grip of fear, society was quick to judge and condemn. In a time of fear and uncertainty, faith was both a refuge and a weapon. As we delve deeper into the events of the autumn of 1660 in Quebec, we must grapple with the profound role faith played during this time. The church was not just a place of worship, but a bastion of societal norms, cultural beliefs, and a source of solace in the face of the unknown. The nuns who treated the servant girl, terrified by supposed demonic entities, were not merely caregivers. They were warriors in the spiritual battlefield, armed with prayers and holy water, battling the unseen forces of evil. Their faith guided them, providing a sense of purpose and direction amidst the chaos. But faith was not just a shield, it was also a sword. It was used to cut through the ambiguity, to label and explain phenomena that were otherwise inexplicable. Demonic possession and exorcism were concepts deeply rooted in the theological teachings of the time, offering an explanation for the strange and eerie occurrences that plagued Quebec. These beliefs were not just confined to the church, but permeated society at large. The notion of demonic possession provided a framework, a narrative that made sense of the servant's frightful experiences. It was an assumption that was rarely questioned, deeply ingrained in the minds of the colonists. But faith, like any tool, can be wielded for both good and ill. While it offered comfort and understanding, it also fueled fear and suspicion. The Millers' imprisonment and execution is a stark reminder of the destructive potential of faith when manipulated by fear. The church, the nuns, the societal beliefs and assumptions all played a role in shaping the narrative of demonic possession and exorcism in 17th century New France. They provided a lens through which the events were viewed, interpreted, and ultimately acted upon. Faith played a pivotal role in shaping the narrative of these events. It was a beacon of light in the darkness, but also a shadow that cast long and ominous silhouettes. As we move forward, let's continue to explore the complexities and contradictions of faith in this unsettling tale. Who was the miller who was so swiftly condemned? In the heart of 17th century New France, this miller played a pivotal role within the community. The miller was the lifeblood of the settlement, grinding grain into flour, a staple of their diet. He was more than just an artisan. He was a crucial cog in the machinery of survival. However, beneath these surface impressions, there existed a complex web of societal dynamics that may have contributed to his downfall. Perhaps he was a man of a different faith or held unpopular political views. Maybe he was simply an outsider, a figure who didn't fit the mold of the tightly knit community. In such a society, whispers and rumors held a power of their own. They could stoke the fires of suspicion, turning neighbor against neighbor. In the face of unexplained phenomena and a pervasive dread of the unknown, it's possible that the miller became a scapegoat. His position, while important, was also isolated. He worked alone, often in the dead of night, a perfect target for the whisperings of superstitious minds. It's important to remember that New France was an amalgamation of different cultures and beliefs, all trying to coexist in a new and often hostile environment. A fear of the unknown was a common thread that wove through the fabric of this society, and it's plausible that this fear manifested itself as a witch hunt against the miller. We must also consider the influence of the church, which wielded significant authority during this period. Perhaps the miller's downfall was a power play, a way for the church to exert its dominance and quell any potential dissent. While we can only speculate on the specifics, it's clear that the miller's execution was a product of a society gripped by fear and uncertainty. The miller, a vital yet solitary figure, found himself in the crosshairs of a community desperate for answers and seeking a target for their collective anxieties. In the face of fear, even the innocent were not safe. The terrified servant was at the heart of this tale. In the midst of the unsettling happenings of autumn 1660, a young domestic helper became embroiled in a tale of supernatural terror. This servant, a mere teenager, found herself standing on the precipice of the unknown, claiming to be tormented by unseen malevolent forces. She reported encounters with demons, these ethereal tormentors that plagued her every moment, pushing her into a world of fear and confusion. These were not mere figments of an overactive imagination. Her terror was palpable, her experiences real and terrifying to her. It was these claims that set the wheel of events in motion, leading to accusations, trials, and a tragic end for a miller accused of witchcraft. In her darkest hours, the servant was not left to face her demons alone. The nuns of a local hospital took her under their wing, providing not just physical care, but also spiritual guidance. These women of faith, armed with their fervent beliefs and religious rituals, attempted to exorcise the demons that allegedly terrorized the servant. They conducted rites, prayers, and rituals, invoking the divine to cast out the infernal. The hospital became a battleground, the site of a spiritual warfare between the holy and the unholy. The servant, caught in the crossfire, was both the victim and the vessel of this supernatural conflict. Yet it's crucial to remember that these accounts, while chilling, are also deeply personal and subjective. They represent the servant's reality, her experiences, and her interpretation of the events. As such, they should not be taken as universal truths, but rather as individual testimonies of a time long past. Her story, whether true or not, had far-reaching consequences. The servant's tale, steeped in fear and the supernatural, left a lasting impact on the community and the lives of those involved. It sparked a witch hunt, resulted in an execution, and revealed the deep-seated anxieties of a society grappling with the unknown. This tale, like many others from that era, serves as a window into the past, into the minds and hearts of those who lived through it. These events were not just about demonic possession and exorcism. Indeed, they were a window into the underlying anxieties and insecurities of the colonists in New France. Imagine, if you will, the daunting task of carving out a new society in a land that was as beautiful as it was harsh. The settlers faced many challenges, and their fears were reflected in the happenings of that autumn in 1660. The colonists were grappling with the unknown, a world away from their familiar surroundings. Every rustling leaf, every unexpected sound, every unfamiliar face could be a potential threat. It was a time of uncertainty, a time of fear. It's no wonder, then, that in such an atmosphere, the supernatural could have seemed very real. Moreover, the colonists were not just building homes, they were tasked with establishing a perfect society, a beacon of civilization in the wilderness. The pressure to succeed, to uphold their values and beliefs, must have been immense. This pressure, coupled with the fear of the unknown, could have easily given rise to a culture of suspicion and paranoia. In such an environment, the tales of a teenage servant tormented by demons took on a life of their own. The accusations of witchcraft against a humble miller were easier to believe. It was a way for the colonists to make sense of their fears, to give a face to the unseen enemies they felt lurking in the shadows. But these events also tell us about the resilience of these settlers. Despite their fears, they persevered. They built their homes, they established their society. They faced their demons, real or imagined, and they survived. The demons may not have been real, but the fear certainly was. And in that fear, we see a reflection of the human condition. We see the lengths to which we will go to make sense of the unknown, to find a scapegoat for our anxieties. And ultimately, we see the strength of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Every story, no matter how dark, has lessons to teach. As we navigate through the murky waters of 17th century New France and its tales of demonic possessions and exorcisms, we've journeyed through a narrative that has more to it than meets the eye. This is not just a story of supernatural occurrences and fear. It is a tale of belief, societal pressures, and human nature. We've learned that the accusations and consequences faced by the miller and the servant girl were not just the product of a sudden demonic infestation, but the culmination of the underlying anxieties and insecurities of a society in its nascent stages. The colonists of New France were grappling with the uncertainties and challenges of establishing a perfect society, and these fears manifested in their perceptions and actions. This brings us to the importance of asking historical questions to understand the people who told these stories. To merely accept these tales at face value would be to miss the rich tapestry of human emotions, beliefs, and societal pressures that underpin them. It's not just about what happened, but why it happened, and what it meant to the people who lived through these times. And that's where the value of microhistory comes in. By examining the actions and beliefs of individuals involved, we can gain a more nuanced understanding of the broader societal context. The servant girl, the miller, their stories are not just their own, but reflections of the society they were a part of. They serve as a mirror, reflecting the societal norms, beliefs, and anxieties of their time. In essence, these tales of demonic possession and exorcism from 17th century New France offer us more than just a glimpse into the supernatural. They provide us with insights into the human condition, the societal pressures of the time, and the ways in which fear and uncertainty can shape our perceptions and actions. As we delve into the past, we gain a deeper understanding of our own society,